Cavecast, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds.
That's the stuff from high school that I remember where it's like, so I was never really involved in that kind of like crazy stuff as far as like, oh, like, you know, I fought with like people every day or whatever. Like, nah, dude, I was younger, just a little more awkward. And I bet now that I'm looking back, I'm skinnier, you know? So it's like, I remember being, you know, at the time waking up in the morning, looking at myself and being like, oh God, I got to fix this. And then I saw a picture of myself last week and I'm like, God, I looked amazing. It's like, so right. Like, that's kind of my, it's kind of my perspective on high school is that, you know, like I really very much like kind of kept to myself in that way. Like I was never, I don't know, like, I guess from my perspective, I wasn't trying to be super flashy or anything like that. Like I was just trying to get through my day. Like I never had like an enemy or a bully that I had to, you know, watch out for. Like that was more so middle school. High school was kind of the time when things just chilled out. And it was almost like people were kind of, you know, coming to that point that they were like, all right, like, I get what's happening here. We're growing up. You know, it's like, you know, I have a part-time job or I have this or that, or like I'm learning to drive or doing things like that. So, but nevertheless, my high school experience was unique in its own way, but I don't think it's really that dynamic. You know, it's like more stuff kind of like happened outside of school rather than in. But I mean, as far as your end of things, because I know that yours is kind of interesting because you do have a sudden shift and change that you were at one place and then you went to a new place, right? And you did finish out your years there, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I mean, I went from our hometown to, you know, basically like the town over, and it was an even smaller school, if you could believe that, but not by much. But it was an even smaller school. But it was very interesting because at that time, like I was moved out. I didn't live with like mom and you guys and stuff. Like I kind of lived with a friend of the family or my best friend's family. And then after about 6 months, I moved in with my girlfriend's parents and finished out my time there. But, you know, I had a job and like, you know, I worked 40 hours a week and, you know, still went to school full time. And so the shift was interesting, but the environment was kind of cool though. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting, like where I got to live and like what I got to do. But yeah.
It's, I think that one of the things that I remember you saying was that you were like, man, this high school is so different. It's, you know, it's weird to like walk down the hallway and you see like the band geek making out with, you know, the head cheerleader.
Correct.
Where it's like
that's what happened.
It seemed like your final days of high school, like it kind of like broke the molds a little bit. And that always intrigued me. I thought that was really cool because like we basically had the stereotypes, but
we did
for the most part. I would say like with the people that I interacted with, everybody was pretty cool with everybody. Like there was no like, you know, big like shifts in like friendship or things like that. Like that, at least that I remember.
I mean, like we kind of like my era, I guess you could say, like kind of did. You did not see the band person with the cheerleader. You did not like jocks stuck with cheerleaders and jocks and band people stuck with the mathletes. And like, it was just like out of a, you know, a movie, but it's weird that I didn't necessarily go to school with a lot of assholes though. There were a few,
of course. Right.
I mean, there were a few, but I wasn't necessarily a jock. I played a couple years of sports in my high school time, but I wouldn't consider myself a jock at all. Like I was kind of like that burnout that wasn't really a stoner like that, but like I smoked it. You know what I mean? Like I was just like not quiet, but I didn't give a shit about that.
Right.
So I was friends with the like quote popular kids, but then I was also friends with, you know, the troublemakers and, you know, like all this stuff. Like it was weird on how I did that, but the stereotypes were there. And then when I went to this other school, I was like, what the fuck is happening? It freaked me the fuck out. Cause I'm like, where do we sit? And my girlfriend at the time was like, what do you mean?
Everybody sits together.
I was like, well, where do we sit? And she's like, wherever you want. And I'm like, yeah, that's not real. So it was just, but it all did go away. You're right. Like, and finishing out my high school years, it was nice because I did work full time. Like I said, I didn't have this like constant need to like maybe try to keep up with somebody or like whatever. I never did anyways, but it didn't feel like anybody had to do that there.
Right.
You know, like Tyler's been on the show before too. You know, he was not a nerd by any means as far as like when nerds were like what, you know, the movies made it look like when we were in school, but like he was the comic book guy and the, you know, like, you know, all like maybe random facts or something. He was cool as fuck. Like, I still kind of hang out with him. Like that's the whole thing, is that their dynamic there was so unique that like you kind of had a cool, like round of everybody because everybody was just friends. I still kept to myself though. I didn't really involve myself in too many things because I was exhausted, man.
Yeah.
I didn't play sports anymore. I started to work with the public and it's fucking exhausting. You were going to talk about this later, but like, I think everybody should have to work retail and or fast food for at least a year or two of their life.
100%.
Like right out of high school or in high school, like it will toughen you up and you need that because the work environment from a school, no matter if it's like, you know, catered to or not, like I kind of had, I guess you could say at the end, like, no, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs to do that because you're about to get the shit kicked out of you.
Dude, it's this is what I think
is ramble there.
No, I love it. Like it's weird because I don't remember much of like, you know, all the different like things that happened in high school. Like I was in drama club. I did choir. Right. I mean, that should shock nobody that like, that's the stuff that I was interested in, you know? So like, seriously, like, you know, it's, you know, what's weird is that what really sticks out to me is the day that I graduated. And at that time I had a very different mindset of what I was going to do professionally. It was ministry based. It was that type of thing where I was going to, you know, I wasn't going to go to college. I
remember mine.
It's, you know, well, there's a part of me that wishes I didn't remember some things, but it's just, man, I remember standing out in the yard after we got done with the ceremony and I walked over to somebody that I don't think I had really talked to that much. You know, it was kind of like everybody knew who everybody was, but like, you know, like you didn't really like have like, you know, maybe sit down time with this person or like you didn't, you know, hang out in the halls. Right. And I remember just walking over to them and kind of chuckling and being like, cause we were going to actually go outside and throw our hats in the air. Like, cause we couldn't do it in the gymnasium. And I remember we were just kind of like laughing and hooting and hollering. And it was this moment that I felt that I finally had a true adult moment with my peers. It was so weird. It was because, I mean, as a kid, I was able to talk to pretty much anybody, even like the hardest dudes that, you know, you would hang out with if they were in the area, or like whenever dad would have somebody over that maybe was like maybe a biker dude or whatever, like that a normal kid would be afraid of. I never was. It was just like, oh, cool. So-and-so's over. How you doing, man? Like, are you going to play guitar tonight or something?
You trusted your environment.
Right. And it was so weird, man. Like that was kind of what shaped me, was that moment, was that I was like, my life is changing rapidly. Something is going to essentially like, you know, kick me in the teeth soon. And this is kind of the mentality of me understanding this is kind of what, you know, neutral looks like.
Okay.
And I don't know if that makes any sense, but
no, it does.
But man, like my graduation, like, sure, it was cool. Like I got to get a diploma that I have no idea where it's at.
I don't know where the fuck mine is either.
So like, and it's, I don't know, like there's also this.
They gave us fake ones.
Oh yeah. Right.
They made you stay. They made you stay. So then you get the real one in the cafeteria. I was like, this shit. So, but no. Yeah. Ours weren't long because I think my graduating class was like 85 people.
Same.
But
it wasn't big.
No, like I think I lost that bitch in the first month. So yeah.
Well, isn't it interesting that, I mean, because I don't want to paint this picture that education doesn't matter, but in the same hand is that I have seen friends of mine that I know for a fact were, you know, quote unquote fuck ups in school. Like, you know, they just couldn't get anything right. They couldn't do anything, but it's like, nah, dude, like they own this type of a business and they're so good at it. And it's like, I remember hearing people talk about it being like, yeah, like in school, like, you know, I couldn't get it. Like I couldn't.
It's not what they wanted to do.
Right. And it's like, they were bored. They didn't want to have any kind of interaction with that. And it's like, it's weird. Like I've kind of had this mentality where it's like, dude, like my grades didn't matter. like in the long run of my life, as far as like how things happen, where it's like, I don't think about, the C's, D's, and F's I got in high school. What I think about it was being in drama club.
Student. Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh my God, like, this night that we did Robin Hood. Oh my God, like everything was falling apart. And it's like, we did this and that. And it's like, that's the stuff that I pay attention to. And that I think that really kind of like forms me now. And it's this thing that I think that people in the moment of high school is that those that want to excel and do well, they feel like that, if they have almost like the Brian from the Breakfast Club mentality where it's like, I've got to make sure I get good grades. I have to do this. And it's like, sure, excel, do well in what you're doing. But in the long run, getting a retail job, all they want to know is if you graduated.
Correct.
It's like, they're not going to look at it and go,
are you a felon?
Yeah. Right. And it's just, I don't know, like it's such an interesting perspective to have on it. And I think it's really like what kind of like, I don't know if it's recently or if it's, like been a long time I've been thinking about it, but it's like almost, again, this neutral thing that I've been feeling is that it's like, nah, dude, like my life is so much more than what happened in high school. Like my like everything that has, formed me and stuff, like, sure, maybe those were very formative years that, I had the relationship that I did, or I knew the friends I did and, different things. But man, like, it's just, at the end of the day, high school was a mere chapter of my life. It wasn't something that, carries a lot of weight. I have good memories I love talking about, or like different things like that. But it's just, it's crazy. Like people that are in the thick of it, to them, it's their entire world. And it's just nuts to think that at one point, that's where my mindset was. It's just nuts.
I think my moment was when my summer was over. It wasn't actually when I graduated. Like I do kind of, I joke that like I don't remember it, but like I kind of remember certain points. But after I graduated, because I'm pretty sure that night or the next day I went right back to work.
Yeah. And you were at Burger King at that point, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
And just, I can almost see the sign from down here. But
right.
I remember it hit me like that when I was like a quote grown up, when summer ended and people were going back to school and I was getting up at 7 a.m. to go to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, wow, okay, this is adulthood. I don't dread waking up because I want to go to, don't want to go to school. Now I dread waking up because I want to deal with fucking people.
Yeah, right. I wish I had homework.
Yeah,
right.
Fucking yeah. And get to look up, Lacey's skirt or whatever. Like, but no, it's just, it's the fact of it didn't hit me until that. And then it made me realize how young you really are when you quote grow up. Like 18. You can go to war, you can buy porn, you can buy cigarettes, at least at that time.
Right.
So at some decades, you were able to buy beer. Mm-hmm. But what I mean is that we're fucking kids still. There is a technicality that makes you a grown up. But to know that at 18, 19 years old, back then, what I know now, obviously that whole cliche, but it's like, dude, it's leaps and bounds different. I had to be in the real world as a teenager still. Like, that's weird to comprehend. Mm-hmm. Devin is been an adult for a year now. Mm-hmm. Motherfucker's got a job, like all these, like again, like an adult. He's still a teenager, and it baffles me when I see him at work. He works at our local like gas station, but it baffles me. I'm like, he's just a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, man. Like there's just something that summer did something to me like afterwards. And I was like, dude, this is going to suck. Dude, because I had to grow up now.
Yeah. I love the way that you said that, is that I'm not going to be able to do it exactly how you said it, but no, dude, like the fact that it's like, I'm still just a kid. Like,
right.
You become an adult when you're so young. Yeah. And it's just, man, like, I kind of liken it to the whole, like, if you guys have not seen Accepted, do yourself a favor and watch it. But like, I kind of related to Bartleby in a way where when he keeps getting rejected at colleges, and I think his sister is like, man, it's like, well, maybe if you didn't write an essay called I Don't Have a Clue. And he's like, it's true. He's like, I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life. He's like, I can't figure that out in an hour in English class. He's like, it's just like,
right.
It's, dude, like, I think that there's this idea where it's like, man, like there's, I think that people need to know the direction that they want to go.
Okay.
out of high school instead of being like, hey, like you have to go to college, you have to do this, you have to do those things. So
I was actually just going to say, like, one of the things that really bugs me, and I don't think it's necessarily as much of a problem now as it was kind of like when we were kind of coming out of school around that kind of timeline, that it was like beat into you that you go to school, then you go to college. Like, that's just what you did, even if it was just for general fucking bullshit. Why? Why do I need to go to school and be in debt to go do something that I don't know that I want to do or have any clue what I want to do yet? Maybe I do just want to open up a dive bar. Why do I need to go to college for that? Technically, guys, I talked my brother Devin out of going to college, and my mother thanked me.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be a tattoo artist. He's a great fucking artist.
Yeah.
Why do you don't go to college for that, man? You're an apprentice. He wanted, I was like, dude, if you want to go to school for like marketing as your backup, yes, go do that then. Have your degree. Don't go to college just because it's what society says you have to do.
Right. Go to college because you should.
Correct.
Right.
It's like, dude, you're going to, even if you go to like a local college, you're going to be in debt 20, 30, 40 grand. Easy.
Yeah.
I went to school for 6 months at a private school and still racked up 40 grand, 30 grand. And it was for a 12-month program with $60,000.
See,
It's like, what the fuck?
See, this is the thing that
For 12 months.
I think that I don't want to get into the whole, like, you know, should education be paid for or not? Like, I mean, obviously I think you can tell, like, you probably can tell what we think, but the point is that it's like, man, like I have seen so many people in my life that, you know, it's like they have this, I don't know who exactly said this, but I remember talking to a friend of mine, and it was like one or two people, and I was like, so like, how's everything going? Like, you finished up your semesters and stuff, you're good. And they're like, yeah, my loan payments are like $800 a month.
Right.
And I just looked at them and I'm like, how are you supposed to do anything?
Don't know.
And it's just, this is the thing that I think that for anybody that's younger that's watching this, or anybody that, you know, has maybe not made that leap yet, is that depending on what you want to do, man, like there is nothing that is written in stone that you have to have a degree to be able to be successful in life.
Correct.
And I think that, again, like a degree, I think, you know, if you're going to pursue something, you know, that, you know, it's like you need certain credentials to do things. Like, clearly a doctor needs a degree. You need to go to school.
Well,
to be
I
able to,
want
like,
him to have a fucking degree
right.
if he's going to remove something out of my body or whatever it is.
Right. And it's, you know, but who was the friend of yours in Pittsburgh that I remember when we visited you the one time, we were walking down the Strip. And it was what I remember was he was almost kind of like a bigger dude. He was rolling dough or like was doing something in the background. And you were like waving to him and stuff. We're like, oh, who's that? And we're like, oh, this is so and so. You're like, yeah, he just started making stuff and became successful.
Yeah,
like, it's like he found something he was good at. Man,
the name is blanking on me because it was the only spot. I think he had one other spot, but it was like a cafe. It was like Ralph's Cafe or it was something like that. It was his name, and I want to say he worked in a kitchen or something prior, but like he had like basic experience and then like worked in I believe just like higher end kitchens, and just said, fuck it, I can do this. And it was, dude, no joke. The whole place was, maybe if you took out every wall down here and had the garage open, it was that big. It was not, not that your basement's small, but I'm saying for a kitchen and a little eat-in diner plus a register and everything, like, it was small. But he was only open from like 7 until like 2.
That's right. He did more of the early day thing.
Right. Because it was basically come get your breakfast, brunch, or lunch, and then it was over. And then he went home. He was very successful. He didn't go to school for that.
No.
I mean, that's technically what I was going to school for and how I met the person I was in Pittsburgh with. But it's the fact of that did keep my attention. I wanted to go for that. I was also 21 years old, 22 years old when I went. I didn't go directly out of high school. I waited. I made sure it was something that I wanted to do. Yeah. I didn't just go, that. And go waste money and piss away money and have mom co-sign for something that I didn't want to do or whatever it was. Right. You got to think, like, if it's just because you're 18 years old now and you want to be a fireman, let's just say that, okay, but maybe your views and things change and you're like, no, I want I want to be a doctor or I want to be a dentist. Okay, well, if you just pursued everything at 16, 17, 18 years old as a fireman, you would have never known or tried to do this other thing.
You would have been enslaved to, like, well, maybe not for firemen, but like,
Well,
right. Like,
sorry, that was maybe a poor analogy.
Well,
but
no, but it's, the point I think still stands is like you would have been a slave to this other thing you had to finish or pay off.
Because you're a kid still. Again, and essentially like still a teenager. You don't know what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. I still don't know what I want to do half the fucking time. What's today? Wednesday? What am I doing tomorrow? Don't fucking know. Like, no, it's just the fact of like, having that mindset, I think, does ruin some people in some ways where they're like, oh, this is what I wanted to do when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. Well, what about now when you're 40? No. Okay, well, how much money, like all this time and books and all this stuff, like, sure, sororities and parties are fun, but dude, why do I want to pay $50,000 to go party once in a while?
Right.
Like, you still have to focus and be there. It's like, dude, college is just something. Education should be at will. And I know that sounds stupid, but I mean like after school. Mm-hmm. Like your education should be because you want to, not because society thinks you should.
Yeah. I think that it's one of the things that, because every night that we do a podcast, I always make sure that I write down kind of like some bullet points. And this was kind of one of the things I was thinking about today was that it's like, dude, like always be open to learn. Right. I think that's one of the main things that I have honed into. Like now, at the end of the day, I am basically a nerd. I'm a geek. I love
that's in now.
Like I know it's kind of nice. It's like, oh, it's not as hard as it used to be, But no, but like, man, I get excited, to learn new things. Like like it was just this past year that I picked up trying to learn how to play piano.
But that's because it's something you want to do,
right? And it's that. It's this idea that, it's like, man, if you are passionate about something and if you want something, I think that that's the time that you can assess on whether or not that you should invest monetarily or like, actually, let me rephrase that, is that, what you're going to invest. Is it going to be specifically just your time and attention, or is it going to be financially on top of that?
Right.
And what is needed to make those things happen? I think that we're living in an age right now where there is so much information at all of our fingertips to be able to do everything that we want. Whereas like, we don't have to look up encyclopedias or get books from the library or do anything. Like you can just look up info and figure things out and see like, oh, like this is the area that I want to check out, or this is what I want to do. Like, what? I've never learned how to paint. Maybe I want to learn how to paint something or do pottery or like,
I can look on YouTube and learn how to take out an engine. Now, it might not be as easy as it, they show it on the video, but I could probably figure it out after a couple of days. Right. But no, it's like, you can kind of learn anything online. And some people might argue that school is not needed anymore because the fact of you can go to quote YouTube University. Mm-hmm. That is true in some theory.
Yeah.
I think still at a certain age, do I think you need to go all the way through high school? Sometimes I wonder. There are formative years you do need to go to school. Yeah. You need to have people that know what they're doing, teach kids, teach you the basic things, whatever it is. But once you hit probably like 15, 16, 17, you know what you want to do. Like I said, but like it might not be the thing you want to do forever, but it's the fact of you kind of have an interest now. Now you're going to focus at least on it. Mm-hmm. But again, you can still have time to kind of like sway back and forth and be like, okay, but I like this over here and I like this. It's hard. Like it's really like, this is a hard topic to kind of like have an end all be all thing because it just goes so many different ways all the time.
It's 100% dependent on the person.
I guess that's the thing is it is dependent on the person, is that school or knowledge, if you will, is going to only be, like we were talking earlier, I know many people that were complete fuck ups in school because they didn't give a shit and they are very smart in other ways and make money because they're very smart in other ways, not drugs. No, I'm just saying like there is just, everybody has a different kind of outlook on it. And it's very interesting. This is a interesting topic, man. Like,
okay. So, let me ask you this, because I do have some things in my mind. Now, I'm not going like super deep to be like, oh, woe is me. Oh God, I screwed up my life or anything like that. But what are some things that you wish you would have done differently? being an adult, as far as like having that perspective of like looking at your high school self. Like if you could go back, sit down with your younger self and say, look, this is where I'm at now. Things aren't terrible, but this is what I would want to do differently. What do you think that old Eric would say to young Eric?
So the thing is that I really don't know, because I didn't go to college until I was 21, 22 years old. You know, there's a lot of things that I would say, oh, I wish I could take that back. But to be honest, where I'm at now, I don't mean YouTube and things like that. I'm talking just in general, like where I'm at now.
Yeah,
I am kind of okay with it. And I know that's not the greatest response, but what I mean is that I always wanted to cook, right? And that was something that I was very passionate about. It still took me like 3 or 4 years to go to college to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't cook. That's not what I do. It's not even remotely close to what I fucking do.
I'd still say that you're good at it, you know, but yeah.
It's slipped quite a bit because my passion is dropped.
Sure.
Anyways, what I'm getting at is that I don't work in a restaurant. I don't own my own kitchen. I don't any of that. Like I work for Samsung. Like, you know, I still work in retail, but that was what I wanted to do even in my 20s. Now, mine was maybe a little different from other people. Was the passion died because of, I think, the environments I was working in, and it's just a lot of stress for kind of no money until you get to a certain point.
Oh God, yeah.
But
yeah,
it's doing anything different, probably not, because I did wait. It was something I still wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't just jump right into it out of high school. So then that, but like, you know, even having kids at a young age, like I would never take that back. Even the scenario that I am in with everything, mm-hmm. I have kids, you know, like it's just one of those, they're a blessing, you know, even though they're expensive, but it's just, there's more so on like, I think little stupid things I would go tell myself where it's like, no, don't do that. Okay. Maybe stay away from that person, or like, you know, it's
don't waste your time, or right. Yeah.
It's more so in the fact of kind of having that like, structure and path, but I thought I did with cooking and then it just fell apart. So there's really nothing you can tell yourself other than like, dude, this is going to suck. Just brace yourself. I don't know that any other outcome would have still like done anything different as far as like telling myself something, because it probably, I would have been like, yeah, right. Cause first of all, you don't want to listen.
Yeah. It's like old Biff with young Biff.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
But even at that, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the mistakes that I've made also are the reason why I've done what I've done. Am I super successful? No, but I've gotten to a point in my life where I know what I'm worth. I know who I need to surround myself with. It took all of those times to mess up to know what I needed to do.
So do you almost feel like it's like you wouldn't want to change anything because you've gotten the experience and it's molded you?
Correct. Okay. I think, you know, some of the beat downs in life that I've gotten and still will continue to get help with how my outcome will ultimately be, because it's like what is that? Somebody said the more painful the road, the stronger the testimony.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was a K Reno line, but it was just the fact of, I felt that, because what if I did just have this cushy life for a while and, you know, maybe become this like successful chef or something, like, man, I'd probably be a bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it probably would be nothing near what I am now. Like, I'm a sarcastic, heartless fucking asshole. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
But no, what I mean is the fact, it's just all of these things happen for a reason. And while they sucked in the moment, they're the reason why I'm here now.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I would really take much of it back. So sorry.
Yeah.
It's your turn to talk.
No, for sure. Man, I would say that I do resonate with that a lot. I think that, you know, talking about even like, you know, when you look at like how NF wrote a song, you know, to himself, of being like, look, man, I'm going to tell this kid he's going to take a lot of hits. And it's like, you think it's bad now, it's going to get worse. And it's like, it's this and that. Like, I think that what I would probably do, like if I had the ability to speak to my younger self, assuming I can get my younger self to calm down enough to be able to even have a conversation with the poor bastard. But like, man, it would more so come down to like social and like ethical cues and things like that. And like,
Okay.
and being like, look, dude, like you don't need to be up in arms about this thing. Like, you know, you say you love people, but you need to love people.
Right.
You don't just need to wear that as a badge, as something that you either flaunt or that you, you know, praise yourself over or whatever. Like, there's also the mentality that I know that I would have definitely told myself to get piano lessons then, you know, so something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you mean. Yeah.
But man, like, I don't know, like, it's just
like changing your life, though, is what I was maybe kind of trying to touch on.
Yeah. It's tough because I would love to be able to spare myself of a lot of different things and a lot of mistakes that I made and things that I know that stress stream me now and affect me on a daily basis when I'm by myself and I have, you know, physical reactions to these thoughts. And it's like, it makes me either gag or like, it makes me like, you know, wince or like whatever. Like, I would like to be set free from those things, but I think I ultimately do agree, man, is that it's like, nah, dude, I went through this and I have these memories to never make those mistakes ever again. And I think that that's the hardest thing that any person is going to go through after coming out of high school, is that they're going to think that they're on the right path and they're very passionate about things, whether it is a person or if it's a career path or if it's, you know, something that they really love. And it's just, it sucks that failing is a part of the project, and it's a part
to fail. You have to.
It's just, it is so essential. And it is something that I know that I will avoid certain, you know, passive things to be able to know that like, nah, dude, I want to reach my goal quicker. I want to be able to do these things. I want to be able to enjoy this. Like, I think the only thing I'd want to do is make myself more dangerous in my craft. And just be one of those things where it's like, look, I'm not going to tell you to not date this person. I'm not going to tell you to not work at this place. I'm not going to tell you that you can't, you know, have an unhealthy lifestyle for a while or this or that, or like, so don't eat this so much or like whatever. Like, it's one of those where it's like, nah, dude, do what you love. Try this. The worst that can happen, you know, is that it won't happen. And I think that the big thing that I would really try to tell myself is to tune everybody else out. I've had people in my life that have, at the time, have basically said that, you know, I was taking what I was doing too seriously, which in my opinion, I look at that and I'm like, well, isn't that the point?
That's
like, it's nothing right now. I'm building something. And while that never stopped me, it really did make me think. It's like, no, like, should I just be the guy that stocks shelves at a Family Dollar for the rest of my life and do this? And like, I mean, it was just like things like that would hit my, you know, my brain. And I'm like, is this really that good? Like, you know, like I you know, I think the way that I heard somebody say it at one point was that they were like, oh yeah, like, you know, like they're going to go make one of their films and do this or whatever, or it's like, yeah, they think they're doing something great or whatever. And it's like, no, this may not be great now. I regret a lot of the movies and things I made. But dude, it's just like hearing that is, you know, again, for the most part, I have had nothing but very supportive people around me.
Sure.
But it's just like, man, like when those times did pop up, like what that did to me in the moment and like the way that I would lash out or the way that I would do things where I would just be like, nah, dude, don't even give it the time of day. Yeah. Focus on what you're doing. You need to suck to be good. And just learn from this, get the experience, finish projects. Don't like stop, you know, stop abandoning projects halfway through because they're hard. And it's like, well, it's like, that's the whole fucking point, dude, is that it's like,
if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Like when I was making, the short film that me and my friends made, Morbid, which will never see the light of day because one reason
I'll find it.
One of the episodes is actually missing, and it's the third episode, and it's where all the main plot shit happens. So like in a way, it's a big blessing in disguise. But man, like I learned everything out of that situation, and you know, it's like I remember just looking at like what we did and just being like, man, like we can't finish this. Like, it's like we're getting schedules and like, you know, the time, like it was supposed to be a 1 month thing and it took almost like 16 months or whatever it was.
Jesus.
Like, it was a long, like it was longer than 6 months. I know that for a fact. And it was like, cause it started snowing and we were shooting all this to be like in summer. And like, it was getting so bad with that. What I would do is I would sit in the basement and I would watch the making of Jaws.
Okay.
And just, dude, bullshit that Steven Spielberg went through to make that movie. Like the fact that the shark didn't work. This movie is about a shark and it didn't work. And like, you know, he was like, from what I remember was like that they were extremely over budget. They were over their allotted time, like all this stuff. Like, you know, the film industry with them is not liking them right now because they're trying to make this monster movie essentially. And it's just not working. And to know that that was one of the best shark movies, if not the best shark movie that's ever been made, because you don't even see the damn thing. It was like their limitations made the movie better. And that's what I tried to do was I would just channel it when I would get done that night editing. I would just be so mad or whatever. And then I'd watch Steven. I'm like, Steven did this. I can do this. I'm like, I don't have a mechanical shark. I just have people. I need to make this work, you know? So yeah.
So the same line from what I said earlier from that K Reno, but it's from the song called The Struggle Made Me Great. And one of the parts he says where people were doubting him or when things were getting too hard, he said, making a plan B means I didn't believe in A. So why would you have a backup if you believe in this thing so much? So what I'm getting at is that the things you were doing, the things you were focusing on, Steven Spielberg, it not working, like he didn't abandon it. He didn't go to something else because he believed in what he was doing. That song is actually something you should probably listen to on the channel.
Hey, I'm down for it.
It's just the fact of it does have a lot of like truth to like what he's saying and like scenarios like this. And the fact of you do have to believe in yourself. You have to fail. You have to have obstacles, because if you don't have obstacles, then you have nothing to make yourself better. And I didn't want to hear that. Like, honestly, the first time I heard that song, I didn't want to hear it. I'm like, what's this going to be about? The struggle made me great. And then I'm going through all this, but it kind of applies to some of the things you're talking about tonight. And that's why I said nothing about, you know, telling my younger self, because it did bring everything together. You having things like that with, you know, like your film and things like that. But look at what you do now. Look at what all that time in the basement that you spent on, you know, your computer and laptop and, you know, maybe going to shoots and stuff and be like, no, it's raining today. It's not going to look right. You just knew that stuff. They made a position for you at your job because of the things you did. You had to go through all that bullshit to get here, and they pay you very well for what you do. You get to basically play.
I'm very, very fortunate.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
So it's just like, man, you should never doubt yourself. Like, I guess maybe that's one thing, guys. Don't doubt yourself. No limits, but don't doubt yourself, man, because I've watched it in you, especially with the film.
Thank you, man.
You know, like you do always kind of joke about this whole morbid thing, but like, man, I'd actually really be interested to see what it looks like now.
I'll show them to you. We can watch them.
Well,
I've got the
it's just the fact of being like, look at almost like Riker Road. Like, look at what this used to look like. And then now.
Yeah.
It's because of everything that you've done, everything that you've had to go through, all of the stress in life in general. You know, filming might have taken 16 months, but what happened in between all of that 16 months that wasn't the movie?
I think it may be 11 now that I'm thinking about it. But
well, I mean, it's just even just life in general. We still just truck on, and we're dudes. That's just what we do. Nobody gives a fuck in this world if we're sad. So like, you just kind of keep trucking on, but also we bury ourselves in our work and our like, I guess, extracurriculars. And I think that's another thing that, you know, after high school that you kind of learn is you have to kind of almost have a hobby.
Yes.
To keep sane and keep yourself busy, because all you're doing is working now.
Yeah.
And
work, come home, go to sleep, wake up,
correct.
Work, come home. Yeah.
You at least had something to where, you were failing at something, but you were failing at something you were passionate about.
Yeah.
And again, man, like I've said it 3 times already, or 4 if we were still counting. Look at where you're at now, man.
Yeah.
So,
well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to answer some of your guys' questions that you guys threw on Discord about high school and just about the episode tonight. And we're going to end this episode properly. So we will see you guys in just a moment. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience, even if it was a couple of seconds. So what's interesting is that you guys gave us a lot of really good questions. And anybody that's not a part of the Discord, that if you want to jump in on podcast questions, I'm trying to do this every time that we jump into a subject or something, that we make it relevant to it, or if somebody just has a good question or whatever. You guys had a lot of really good questions tonight. And I think that for the most part, we kind of answered some of these, but there's a few,
okay.
there's a few of them that I really want to focus on. It's interesting. Cure, that's the name of this person. Cure says, how do you recommend others deal with the newfound freedom / restrictions after high school? There is kind of this almost liberating idea that it's like, I can do whatever I want now. And it's like, I can do this, I can do that. And I think that a lot of people probably, maybe either have issues with that or something where it's like they see that it's like, oh, I can, stay up as late as I want. I can do all this, or like, it's like, but no, like there's, consequences for your actions. It's like, you have to make sure you keep yourself in check. Like, I don't know, like, what do you think about that as far as like the restrictions and stuff like that kind of go away, or like the new restrictions that show up? Like, what would be your advice?
I think there's new restrictions that show up because you can stay up late and, maybe be late to class or whatever, but, stay up late and fuck off the next day in school.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, like you might not, piss off, or you might piss the teacher off, or like might, fuck up a test or something. Like, okay, whatever. Well, now you got to go to work.
Yeah.
So it's the fact of you kind of learn quickly. Ironically, that whole thing where it's like you do grow up quick and like you're still a teenager and stuff. But I think for most of us, we do realize at a very young age where it's like the restrictions that, nope, I don't have to go to bed at 10. I can stay up till 1. Okay, motherfucker, you still have to get up, drive to your workplace
in all weather. If you're in a place,
I was just about to say, like somebody in the snow or like whatever. So it's like, and then deal with whatever machinery or factory position, or, maybe work with the public or even kids now, because maybe you're going to be a teacher or something. Like there are these weird new limitations that, yes, you kind of put on yourself that you never thought you would do before.
Yeah.
Do you drink heavily before you go to work the next day? Some people do, but no, you probably shouldn't. That's for the weekends. Like, like it's just like you do learn that over time. I think that it's the fact of you don't grow up. You just get different, like, different restrictions on your own.
Yeah.
Because you're like, now fuck that. I'm going to bed at 10.
Dude,
like,
there is a true mindset to that idea when you see like the funny thing where it's like, no, dude, it's 9 p.m. Are you shitting me? I'm not going out. It's like, no, dude, I'm staying home. Like, even if I'm up till 12, I know for a fact I can pass out at 12
immediately
instead of like driving home at 12, so like it's that whole deal.
And another thing is, guys, you're going to learn, hopefully at a younger age, going to the bar is fucking expensive and dumb. And not just because of DUIs and wrecks and hurting people, because it's fucking expensive. I can spend $9 and get just as drunk at my own house and not have to drive anywhere and go to bed in my own bed. So just think about that. No, but it's just the fact of you do think about dumb things like that. I used to think, oh, never get out of my party phase and the bar phase. Mm-hmm. I go to a bar like once every 6 months after 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Like you said, like I don't anymore because first of all, it's expensive as shit. Why am I going to pay someone $12 to give me a $5 beer?
Right.
So, yeah.
I think it's also it's just that mentality that, dude, like I'm sure that it has a lot to do with COVID. The fact that, we were all inside for so long, but that's kind of like where I find myself now is I'm not really in the idea that I find fulfillment of like having to go out and do things. Like I get excited when I put a song together and it works. I get excited whenever I'm like, I'm doing some VFX thing or like, I'm uploading videos or I'm doing this or that. Like that's really where I find like it's easy because like we do YouTube, but in the same hand, it's like really where I have found kind of my comfort zone with it is that like I love going out. I love, meeting up with people, but it's no longer as in the consistency of like where my anxiety was like 2 or 3 years ago. Where like, I have to do something every week because that's the highlight of my week, So, yeah.
But see, I was you just said the highlight of your week. Again, after high school and you kind of are out in the world for a few years or, it took me I was probably 25, 26, something around there when I started to realize that. And the fact of I don't go to the bar very much anymore like that. But when I do, I appreciate it way more.
Yeah.
Yep. I know I'm going to spend $100 tonight, but you know what? I'm going to have a good time because I haven't done this in 6-8 months.
Correct.
When I was doing it every weekend, we might as well just been sitting at the house. Like it's just that whole younger mentality does mature over time. Yeah. Usually.
Right. For the most part. Yeah. The Living Miracle, who's somebody that has been active on Discord and on YouTube and everything. He's a super cool guy. He had 2 questions. The second one we've kind of talked about that and like the idea of like he was asking about like overcoming challenges and things like that.
Okay,
Like we addressed that a little bit, but his first question is very interesting. He says, what advice do you have for students who are currently in high school and preparing for their transition into adulthood? What are some key things that they should consider or keep in mind? Number 1, I don't like focusing on this because it is a necessary evil, but take care of your money. Take care of your money, save, make sure that everything is exactly how you want it. Make sure that, you have your mentality down of what you want to do and make sure you have a cushion. Like, if I could go kind of like harkening back to what we talked about in the first part is that it's like, nah, dude, like that's one of the things I probably would say now that I'm thinking about it is like, nah, dude, like save your money, do this, do that with it. Like make sure that you are putting things away. Like the time that I lived with mom and dad when I was still working, like in a way I did buy things that helped me pursue things later.
I was just about to say, you spent a lot of money on the things that are kind of like your main job and hobby as well.
Sure. And it's because again, it's that whole, push and pull thing, but
you weren't going to the bar and buying drugs and hookers and like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
no, it's again, I was very boring, but it's just, man, like guys, like your wallet is so damn important. And it's one of those that, no matter what position that you are at in life, whether or not you're bringing in, 6 figures or if you're bringing in 20 grand a year or whatever it is, or if that's even a ridiculously like low thing, but it's like, nah, dude, like if you have money, take care of it.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are making the right steps of like, being able to know that you can either invest your money or that you can save your money or do spend some money. I think that, dude, like there's also this kind of like freedom aspect that you should understand where like, dude, like even though I blew all of this money and I will never see it again, one of my favorite things I ever got to do was CJ, our stepbrother. He came over and was like, hey man, do you want to go to Taco Bell? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we went. Next day, he's like, hey man, you want to go to Taco Bell? Yeah, sure. And we went. Then it went from lunch and then it was lunch and dinner. And then it was lunch and dinner for like 2 weeks straight.
Fuck yeah.
And
your guts hated you.
Oh, dude, it was terrible. But dude, like dude,
worth it.
It is seriously, it is one of my absolute favorite memories of him. All we did was play Call of Duty. That was Modern Warfare 2 at the time, and then Black Ops came out. So it was like at that time when it's like, like they changed all the names of everything where it's like instead of UAV, it was there's a spy plane above you or like whatever. So it's like they had to change it from like the different things. But man, like there was just something liberating about that. Like I was getting $300 a week at Family Dollar and I thought I was rolling in dough.
Oh, you was big balling.
It was like, oh man, let's go see a movie. Like him and I went and saw Jackass 3D when it first came out. Like we got to enjoy stuff. Like I've talked with friends before when, it's usually been in those moments when we're all having a clairvoyant moment. And it's like when like life is kind of hitting us. And it's like, man, like there's like laser tag places. I love laser tag. Why don't we ever do that? Right. It's like why don't we ever enjoy it? Like, I think that it's this idea that you should 100% take care of yourself monetarily. Sure. But dude, take care of yourself.
Right.
You're not here for a long time. You're here for, I wouldn't say a good time, but you're here for a decent time.
Right.
Of what you can ultimately control. And I think that with what you're able to do, where it's like, I've found things that I know that I absolutely love doing. Like I know for a fact that gaming will always be my thing. I know I'm going to spend money on my games. I'm going to do things like that.
So speaking of that is that, guys, I know that if you guys don't follow the other channel, which is the Riker Road, we had a bunch of problems happen. I spent about $900 the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, okay, thankfully I had it, right? But what I'm saying is that, okay, you were talking about like take care of your wallet. Okay, while that sucked, I fixed something that does make me money. And I was like, yeah, I'm broke right now. And it does suck because I wanted to do other things. Maybe I wanted to go set my tattoo appointment or something. But then what did I do last night? Not the where I'm like, I only have like $8. But what I mean, guys, is that I went, fuck it. I want to spend money on myself. I'm buying a $20 package from Call of Duty.
Yeah, right.
I was already out money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm already out the fucking money. So I was like, what's 20 more bucks on something I want to do it and make myself feel better?
Yeah.
You don't always have to be a big spender, but there is something to that fact of when you say take care of your wallet, but also take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to go insane if all you do is pay bills and that's it. You know, I'm not saying strap yourself completely, but strap yourself a little bit. Maybe you don't have $100, but you have 85.
Yeah. Right.
So spend the 100. Now take, you know what I mean? Like there is that kind of like catch 22 as well. It's like, well, then you're in a loop.
Yeah.
But, Jesus, apple juice. But no, there is that whole thing where it's like, no, man, you have to have that freedom as well, because when you take care of yourself, you realize, okay, it's not so bad when I can do this every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have to do X, Y, and Z over here, but I get to go do this every once in a while. Do I get to buy a pair of Jordans every month? Fuck no.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have the money? Kinda, but I don't, because I'm looking at something in the future as far as what I want to do with my money and my life.
Yeah.
Jordans are material things that I put in my feet. A house or a brand new car or something that is reliable is something that's going to benefit me in the long run.
100%.
And it's like, fine, I'll buy my Jordans every 6 months instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Take care of your wallet, but take care of yourself as well. Splurge a little bit because you get it out of your system.
You do. And I think that the other thing that I would say for sure is, as somebody who is just now about to pay off my credit card debt.
Dude, you're so close.
Guys, I don't frown upon people financing things. I think that financing is something that can be done very, very well if you need to fix your basement or if you need to do certain things. Of course. But guys, it is so easy to get trapped. It is so easy to splurge and make mistakes. I've heard it from my biological father. I've heard it from, people that I followed in ministry that had made mistakes, and that they, to this day, at the time, like when I was in my mid 20s, it's like they were like, no, like we're kind of close. We have about $5,000 left and it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And guys, this is the thing. Only have necessary debt. Your car is a necessary debt. Your
phone,
a phone is necessary.
Mortgage,
It's that idea where, like, I know that one of the things I'm going to do, granted, not everybody that's going to be listening to this coming out of high school and things like that is going to be a homeowner. But the thing is that you need to be able to have things for a fact that you can just kind of rest your head on and be like, I'm fine. Right. Having a Home Depot card, if God forbid something happens to your water heater or things like that, where that's the thing where
it's smart. It's not dumb. That's smart.
It's this beautiful tension in your finances where it's like, no, like you only have this minimum payment. Cool. Have that minimum payment because for a fact you can pay it off in however long. Like, I used to think that I had my minimum payment thing figured out, but then when I realized that I was so far into my credit card debt and the minimum payments, like it's that joke of like a house fire and you're just throwing a bucket of water on it. Like,
because you're basically just paying your interest, not your actual debt.
Correct. Yeah. And it's that funny George Carlin thing where it's like, don't swipe your card for a pack of Skittles. Okay. Like, dude, like it's not worth it. Like, put some change together and go get a pack of Skittles. Like,
correct.
But it's, man, like that's finances. Again, like, I hate it because I don't want to be like, oh, money is everything. But no, it's like, but it is. It's a necessary thing for you to be able to live and to be able to do with what you have. And with whatever you have and with whatever you're blessed with or whatever you fight for or what you earn, protect it. Do what you need to do with it and make sure that it's like, look, I'm going to make some really good decisions that are going to benefit me in the long run, whether that is not being in debt and then, being able to move on that way, or you make a big financial decision that for a fact that you can take care of, but stick to it. Do it,
Exactly. Like, it's one of those things where, like, when I bought my Jeep, it's the fact that I knew what my minimum payment was and I knew what I want to throw on it every month. And I know it's ridiculous, but I want to pay it off soon. But the fact is, I knew at the end of the day when they came to me and said, it's this amount of money, this is the monthly payment, I went, oh, that's all I have to come up with. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you do take that into consideration because, like you said, necessary debt. Even if I go buy a house right now in cash, sure, I don't have a mortgage, but I still have utilities. I have property tax. I have like there's other thing. Like, you don't just buy a house and poof, it's over.
Right.
Like
It would be nice.
it would be nice, but like you said, that necessary debt's always going to be there. So you do have to calculate for that and understand that your money is going to always go towards something.
Yeah.
It's not going to just be fuck off money.
Yeah.
None of it is. It's money's going somewhere from every paycheck or every payment that you get, no matter how you look at it.
Pay your bills.
Your taxes.
And pay your taxes.
Pay your fucking taxes.
It's a necessary evil that we all have to deal
Facts.
with. It just is what it is. It's like it's being able to keep yourself afloat in the proper way. Sometimes you're only going to kick with your mouth right above the line of the water.
Right.
Sometimes, but the thing is, you're still breathing.
Well,
and it's
just like with the whole Jeep thing, you know, like I like to pay like over a quadruple payment with the things that were happening with the computer and stuff. It's like, oh darn, I can only make my actual payment this month.
Those are good problems.
That's
to have.
good problem to
right.
have. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So.
What we're gonna end on, again, I'm trying to say your name, but I think I'm just gonna condense it to this, the middle part of it. So Lycan, there's a bunch of symbols and things. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but Lycan's question I think is very valid, and I think it's something that people that are coming out of high school, this is a kind of a necessary evil or a necessary thing that I think
what is it?
It's. They ask, how did life after high school affect your friendships with the people from your class?
You don't see them.
Were you able to maintain them, or did you just drift apart?
You drift apart, man. Look,
yeah,
there's something. Look, as an adult, I've realized my circle is very small, and I know that I have sometimes done it to myself, but a lot of times it's just life. And what I mean is that there's that whole real statistic that statistically speaking, you lose a friend every 7 years.
Okay.
Or it's something like that. And that's the truth. Jake and I do not talk. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a falling out. We didn't have a this or that. He lives in another state. He doesn't get on social media that much. We don't text a whole lot. I've gotten new phones and phone numbers. Like, we were fucking joined at the hip. That was the whole thing. I lived with him and his family before I moved in with my girlfriend's parents when in high school.
Yeah.
You know, like we were two peas in a pod, like peas and carrots, you know, like, but I have not spoke to him, texted him, seen anything online in 5 years.
Yeah.
And before that, we talked for probably 3 days. And then it was 5 years before that. There are just things that happen in life. I have probably, one of my other really good friends, Brad McCurdy, lives 4 streets that way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it like this. I don't have time. Yeah, I could text and I could do it, but like to hang out with them, it's impossible anymore. We all have lives.
Yeah.
He's got a wife that had, a stroke. I mean, not everybody has a scenario, but a wife that had a stroke. He does have a kid. He works full time. Like there's just so much that goes on in even just his day-to-day life. Then you throw mine in there, trying to meet up. Fucking impossible. Mm-hmm. It's fucking impossible. As a grown-up, I guess you could say, you have to learn to know that you are going to not be as social as you think. And what I mean is that you might have a lot of your friends be an acquaintance now. Jason Young, a couple other buddies that like we are kind of still like really good friends in text. I still don't hang out with them.
Right. You stay connected in other ways.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's the fact I might have 4 or 5 people in my life that are kind of directly that I would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go hang out with that person. And even at that, it's not very often.
Yeah.
I have children. I have a girlfriend. I have a YouTube channel. I do work. And then I have this, and then I have my own downtime.
Yeah.
When you hit I feel around 25, I think you kind of get to that point in your life where you have just a couple of friends and that's it. You either A, still party all the time, or B, now you're kind of focused on your life. because you either have children or maybe have a career or both or whatever it is. Maybe you're getting married and you want to have kids. Like everything kind of shifts. You shift in this way or you shift into party mode and become kind of, sorry guys, but like a drunk alcoholic, whatever it is, like addicted to whatever it is you're still just doing in life.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's much of like an in between. I say much because sometimes it does work. But what I mean is that your friends and everything that you used to have don't matter anymore. That sounds shitty, but it's because you're so focused on your partner, your career, your this and that. Our mother lives right up the street. Do you know how often I text her? Very little. Yep, she was on the show. That's the most I've interacted with her in probably a month.
Yeah.
I have my own life. She understands that. Yeah. She watches my daughter every other weekend for one day when I go to work. I still don't interact with her that much because I leave and then I have to go take care of my kid.
Got to be a dad.
I got to be a dad.
Yeah.
She's not mad at me. This is what we do now.
Yeah.
It's sad, but true. Just when you're friends because you're at school 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
For 12 fucking years. Yeah, of course you're friends.
Right. If you are even lucky to be able to be with the same people for that long amount of time.
But then you can argue the fact that that's the whole thing where it's like, I have my work husband, very, very beautiful gay black man, Z, that works at Best Buy. But it's just the fact of, joking aside, but like all of my friends at work, I see them the most because I'm there all day long. That's the people. Those are the people that know probably more about me than most of my actual friends anymore.
Sure.
Because they're the ones that are around me constantly. They know more about my YouTube. They know more about my daughter and my thing that I'm going through with that, like than anybody else that I grew up with. Because that's who I interact with now, because I have to, in a sense. So sorry guys, friendship dies. And I don't mean to be called, but like it dies. Like, and that's just the way it is.
I think that I do agree. I think that there's
that got dark really quick.
Well, no, but it's there's this realization that you have where it's like, it's that, you know, like that ending of Grease where it's like, oh my, are we ever going to see each other again? Of course we are. Where it's like, yeah, we're going to stay together. We're going to do this. And it's like, yes,
look at the fading of It. Sorry to cut you off, but like at the end where they all drift off. Yeah. It's because they don't quote see each other anymore.
Right.
That's what happens. That's real.
The only thing the only thing that brought them back together was the problem in Derry. Yeah. So right. I think that it's interesting because I've been able to retain at least a small amount of my friends that I grew up with. And I mean, a lot of it does have to do with the fact that we do live in the same town or this or that. But I don't know, man, like it's weird because I cherish my school friends so much, like, you know, with everything that has happened, but
it's not the same anymore, man.
It isn't. I remember, you know, having this moment of going to film one of my friends' weddings and just, you know, seeing where it's like, wow, like it's like this is where we are. Like,
right,
this
he's getting married.
Well, it was she. Whatever. But or like there was even a time that when we were over at somebody's house and it had been a while since I had seen a couple of these friends and they were over, we were getting ready to like go have a fire or something. It was like, oh my God, like everybody's schedule is aligned and everybody's here. I haven't seen this guy in 6 years.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, let's do this. Yeah. And the last thing I really remember was playing Halo with them in a basement when I was a teenager. Then I'm sitting in a living room and we're talking about the house that this person had just purchased. And they were like, oh yeah, dude, actually check out your insurance claim on your, on your thing. Cause you may be able to take care of this and this and stuff.
Instead of, hey, go get that package that just dropped and get the machine gun.
It's weird. Life. It's that whole thing. Like life is funny where it's in like, we had this moment where we all stopped and I think it was my friend at the time, Sam, he looked at everybody and was like, are we really doing this right now?
Right.
Are we really doing this? Like, this is crazy. Like, it's just, that's what I think is that you are able to retain certain relationships if you are able to fight for it in like however it happens in your life. But I think that there's this, I know me personally, I have blinders. I'm the type of person that whenever I am working on something or whenever I'm doing something or the people that I'm with, it's like, it's one of the reasons why I try to get my friends involved in what I'm doing, because number one, I know that they would be good at it. But secondly, it's like, nah, dude, I want to retain this relationship with you because like I heard somebody joke that there's a composer or there was somebody that like does music of some sort that when he goes to work on an album, him and his friends throw a going away party because he's not going to contact them for 6 months.
But dude, that's genius though.
Right.
That's actually genius because at least those are good friends to know what he's doing and have a big bash for them all to have like to do that because no, they're not going to see Bill for a while.
Yeah.
Like that's actually really fucking smart because I know now that we've actually talked about, we kind of have to make time. God, we don't mean we're just super famous and all that. Like, no. We do have to make time, guys, between filming like we are tonight. Then we film tomorrow for the other channel. And then editing has to happen. And then lives and jobs and everything else online. We almost have to make sure that we remember to hang out with friends now.
Yeah.
But like you said, the timing all came for that one spot and what you guys were talking about. I've had scenarios like that happen recently as well. And it's like, dude, how fucking weird is this? But it's nice that you get that feeling back. But then there's almost this depressing side of it is that one of them was a couple of weeks ago. I went to a buddy's house. There was a fight on. There was some people coming from like a group chat that we were just all in. And not everybody showed up, but it was the fact that we were all kind of doing the same thing. I had a buddy that was talking about his band. We were talking about my YouTube. My other buddy was talking about, his new job and everything. And I just realized that this was great. But that at 11 o'clock, I needed to leave.
It's over. At that point,
it's over
Yeah.
because I needed to come home and edit.
Yeah.
To get a video out the next day because I had worked the day before and just didn't get to it.
Yeah.
I knew that I only had a certain amount of hours and it went away. So having that time, like we've kind of acknowledged it lately where it's like, no, we do have to, it's not forcing, but remind yourself, dude, take Wednesday off. Take Thursday, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Go to the bar or go to this person's house or go to the movie. Like, you know what? No, fuck it. I can edit when I get home or whatever it is. Like you have an opportunity because these people are free or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
I felt bad the last couple of weekends. There's been a buddy, Jason, that has wanted me to come down to the local bar and it's literally 4 blocks away. I couldn't. I either A, had my daughter, or B, I had to get stuff done for the show.
Yeah.
Because other things came up throughout the week. So it's weird how that happens, even without having like YouTubes and things, like just how your life goes. And you have to almost remind yourself to hang out with people. Yeah. Because you're so involved with whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. It's, I would love to be able to sit here and tell you guys that, you're going to be able to stay in contact with everybody that you've ever known your entire life. And the truth is that you can't. I think that what it is that you essentially harness those moments and, take those opportunities and enjoy the time that you have with the people that are around you. And I think that the one thing that I know that for me personally, like, I don't want to waste my time with people. That's been a big thing of mine is that it's like, like the time and effort of like, investing myself in certain, like, right. It's, again, like, it's not like, oh, like if a person has no benefit to me, I'm not going to hang out with them. Like, it's not that, but it's more so the idea of like how much I give myself to people as far as like how much, like when I hang out with them, how much I open myself up and like, well, what they know or what they don't know. Like I used to be an open book to everybody.
Same.
And now
it's exhausting.
Right. And it's like now, excuse me, being able to have that mentality of just like, nah, dude, they don't need to know this. We're having a conversation about tacos. And I like this conversation. I like where it's going. And I want to, like, this is how I want to remember
vaginas
this.
Or like Taco Bell.
It's just, sorry. No, but it's just, it's funny, man. Like it's the whole thing, about like, do you retain your friends and everything is that I think that to a very severe degree, you don't, but I know that if I do ever run into a friend of mine again, or if I'm like out somewhere where it's like, are you doing anything? Like, I'm going to go grab lunch. Do you want to come? Like, let's catch up or whatever. Like, let's do our thing. Like, I know that there are people that I have death gripped and that I've hung on to and that I've been like, nah, man, I want to keep them. And I think that the main thing that I try to look for in a friend is the same energy I'm going to reciprocate or that I'm going to give to them. Like it's almost kind of like the whole Captain America and Thor thing, where it's like, they literally are like the epitome of best friends.
Facts.
Like the idea of like when Cap lifts, spoiler warning for Endgame, but if you haven't seen it yet, but it's like,
It's your own fault.
when
he's like,
Cap,
"Yeah!"
like when Cap lifts it, is that, he was really like sensitive about that in Age of Ultron when like everybody was trying to lift it.
And he sort of moved it.
And
he kind of was like, oh.
So, but the fact that when he lifts that thing and wipes the floor with Thanos, he's just, I knew it. Like, it's like he's not mad at him. He's not jealous. He's not vindictive. He's not, how dare you? It's he's
excited.
Dude, yeah. It's like I know that I've had people in my life that still to this day that when good things have happened in my life, you being one of them, is that like the first time like I bought my new car and we just sat outside, like I think I smoked a cigarette, we cracked a couple of beers and you're like, dude, like you bought a fucking car today, dude. Like, this is awesome. It's like it's like when I hear that
and it was like really brand new at the time,
right?
Like maybe a year or two old.
Yeah, it's like that was the biggest purchase I had made at that point, and that was scary,
your house.
Right? And it's like, man, like that's the type of friends I think that ultimately that you want to gravitate, is that it's like, man, like, people that are excited about life, people that are passionate about what they're doing, people that are excited for you and what you're doing. And guess what? They're excited for you because they know that you're excited for them. And it's like, it's that, like, that's the main thing that I try to get. Like, not every person is wired that way. And again, like I don't like kick people out of my life if they don't have that. But in the same hand, it's like, nah, dude, like that's the stuff that I love. That those are the friends that I hang on to, and that like even my very good friend, she's basically my sister, but Sarah, like I met her when I worked at one of the campgrounds that I worked on in the past and stuff. We've stayed in touch. We've had a lot of life stuff happen. Like she's got her own family, and she's got her own things that she's doing, but it's like we try our best to be like, no, like, how are you doing today? Like, or I found this funny thing or whatever. Like, memes are a great way to stay connected,
But that's good. Yeah. No, that's good because you both understand that she lives in a different state. She's married with a couple kids. Yeah, she might be a stay-at-home mom, but she's busy.
Yeah.
Same with you. No, you're not married anymore. You don't have any kids. Mm-hmm. Sorry that I mean it, but yeah. Right. But I mean, like you have your YouTube stuff, you have your job, you have your life, like your hobbies. Like she understands that when she doesn't hear from you for 3 weeks, she's not pissed at you, even as a friend.
Right.
It's like, where the fuck you been? No, she knows. And vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool, is I think that when you can find those type of friends that actually understand, I think that's what keeps a strong bond as well. Because like you said, you kind of keep the bond through memes and random text messages. And it might have been 4 weeks, but hey, how you doing, hon? Yeah. And it brightens her day, or, even to you. But it's like, that's the cool thing about like real friends, I think.
Yeah. That's the main thing that I think that you guys should definitely hang on to, is that, know that, yes, you are going to lose. I know it's a very long answer to your guys' question, but in this, it is the truth, man. Like, it's like
apple juice was strong tonight.
It is what it is. It's like, to me, I think it fueled everything, but no, it's just, dude, it's cool because I know that the friends that I have now that, again, I've had the few that I've connected with through school, but I've befriended my coworkers. I've befriended, even being able to get connected with Ron. And just, somebody who is just, he is such a beautiful soul. And like, he wants the best for everybody and he gets pumped about everything. Ron's also the type of friend that will tell you how it is. And he's like, nah, man, like, it's like, that's the other thing that I really try to strive for is I try not to be the friend that's going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to hear.
We both used to be the one that told you what you want to hear.
Correct.
And even though that I'm kind of like a douchebag asshole sometimes, I still did that. But now you're right. I do try to take it in a different approach to where it's like, no, I am going to give you constructive criticism. Yeah. I did it with my girlfriend last week. There was some things going on with her side business and her cookies. And I was like, hon, at first I was not digging what you were doing. It didn't look good, but then the final product came out. But no, I didn't say that to her, but I have said things like that to her before or even said like, hey, what about doing this? I wouldn't have done. I would just be like, oh, that's great, sweetie. Mm-hmm. No,
I love you. I want the best for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
You want them to succeed because you believe in what they're doing. So doing it the right way. There are right and wrong ways to do that, but yeah, that's key as well.
Yeah, man. Guys, thank you so much for hanging with us this entire time we've been talking about this. Thank you for everybody that gave questions. I hope you guys have seen throughout the episode, we did answer your guys' questions, through everything. Like, this was awesome. Being able to do this whole life before and life after or life during, like, this is kind of something that I want to keep going is, just this idea of like, what's life like after this? Or like, what's life, like in this situation? And man, like it's super compelling to me. And I love it. I love the community that we have and the fact that you guys love hearing what we have to say for whatever reason. I welcome it. It's so huge. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So guys, until next time, thank you for being you, and just thank you for being here. And we will catch you guys in the next one.
Hell yeah.
Adios.